The classroom had always been my sanctuary. The chalkboard, the rows of desks, the scent of old books, they gave me a sense of purpose. I was Miss Eleanor Hart, a teacher who believed discipline was the backbone of learning. My students, however, saw me differently. To them, I was the witch, the strict teacher who didn't bend rules or entertain excuses. The whispers in the hallway became louder each day. The mocking laughter was sharper, their cruel imitations bolder. But I endured it. I thought it was just part of the job, a trial every teacher had to face. What I didn't know was that the storm brewing against me wasn't from the children alone. It was encouraged by their parents and, worst of all, by my colleagues. It began with harmless pranks, scribbles on my blackboard before class, gum under my desk, cruel notes left in my drawer. Then came the rumors that I yelled at children until they cried, that I insulted their families, that I had no compassion. Parents began to call the headmaster, Mr. Collins, demanding action. Instead of standing by me, he fanned the flames. "Miss Hart has old-fashioned methods," he told them. "Perhaps she isn't the right fit for this school anymore." The final blow came from a group of seniors. They fabricated a story that I publicly humiliated them, calling them idiots and failures. The story spread like wildfire, and before I could defend myself, my career was finished. I was summoned to the office. Mr. Collins didn't ask for my side of the story. He simply slid a resignation letter across the desk. "It's better for everyone this way," he said coldly. I walked out of Westwood Academy with a cardboard box filled with my belongings, my heart heavy with humiliation. Behind me, I heard laughter, students celebrating my downfall, teachers whispering, Mr. Collins standing tall with his smug grin. That day, Eleanor Hart, the teacher, died. But in her place, something darker was born, a vow of vengeance. The months that followed were the hardest of my life. Unemployed, mocked and humiliated, I fell into a silence that scared even me. Neighbors whispered about the teacher who was thrown out. My self-worth crumbled. I avoided mirrors, unable to look at the broken woman staring back. But rock bottom has a strange way of forcing a rebirth. One night, staring at the resignation letter I never signed, but was forced to accept, I whispered to myself, "This is not the end." I sold the little I had and applied for scholarships abroad. I studied leadership, educational psychology, and management. I learned how systems worked, how power moved, how influence was built. I reinvented myself piece by piece, carving away the broken parts of Eleanor Hart and shaping someone new. I spoke at conferences, built connections, and rose in reputation. The timid teacher who once quivered before a headmaster's authority was gone. In her place stood a woman who knew how to command a room with a single glance. Years passed. My name began appearing in education journals, policy papers, and government discussions. And then, as if fate itself had been watching, the opportunity arrived. The Ministry of Education launched a program to reform schools. They needed new leadership people with proven expertise and bold vision. When the announcement came, my hands trembled. Westwood Academy, the very school that threw me out, was to receive a new principal. My name was at the top of the list. I smiled that night, a smile sharper than any blade. The stage was set. The audience would soon see a performance they would never forget. The morning I walked through the gates of Westwood Academy, silence fell like a heavy curtain. Students paused mid-step, teachers froze in their tracks, and parents exchanged shocked whispers. "Is that Miss Hart?" One teacher muttered, but I wasn't the Miss Hart they remembered. I was Dr. Eleanor Hart, now confident, elegant, untouchable. My posture was taller, my voice firmer, my gaze colder. The years of humiliation had hardened me into steel. Inside the office, I found him, Mr. Collins. time had not been kind. His once proud face looked weary, and the sparkle of arrogance in his eyes had dulled. He was no longer headmaster but vice principal, forced to stand when I entered. "Dr. Hart," he said stiffly, his lips tight. "Mr. Collins," I replied, savoring every syllable. "Looks like we'll be working together again." His jaw tightened, but he said nothing. The silence between us was heavy with unfinished business. From that day forward, I began my quiet war. My first target: the corrupt teachers who had thrived under Collins' favoritism. I audited finances, exposed bribes, and implemented policies they couldn't escape. One by one, they resigned under the weight of their sins. The students, too, quickly learned I wasn't the woman they once mocked. Discipline was firm, but respect was mutual. I didn't need to shout, I commanded with presence. The same parents who once demanded my removal now praised my leadership. And Collins? He watched helplessly as his empire crumbled, brick by brick. It didn't take long for Collins to lash out. One afternoon, he stormed into my office, slamming his fist on the desk. "You're dismantling everything I built," he shouted. I leaned back, unshaken. "No, Collins, I'm cleansing the rot you allowed to spread. There's a difference." His face flushed red. "You think you've won because you wear the title of principal. I made this school what it is. You'll regret this." I gave him a smile, cold, deliberate. "I already did years ago. Now, it's your turn." From then on, he spiraled. His allies deserted him. His authority evaporated. The ministry began questioning his past decisions. The man who once controlled my fate now found his own slipping through his fingers. But the final blow was still waiting. During a government audit, I presented a file years of hidden financial mismanagement and favoritism under Collins' leadership. The evidence was undeniable. The board had no choice but to remove him permanently. That night, I watched him carry his belongings out of the office in the same cardboard box one once carried. No laughter followed him, only silence. Justice at last was mine. The following weeks transformed Westwood Academy. Freed from corruption, the school blossomed. Teachers thrived under new policies, students excelled, and parents once again trusted the system. I became more than just a principal, I became a symbol. The woman who rose from ashes, who turned humiliation into strength, who carved justice with her own hands. One afternoon, a former student, one who had bullied me, approached hesitantly. "Dr. Hart, I'm sorry for how I treated you back then." I looked at them, my expression unreadable. "The past cannot be undone," I said gently, "but it can be a lesson. Don't waste yours." As I walked the halls, hearing laughter that no longer mocked but celebrated, I knew I had won, not just against Collins, but against every whisper, every cruel prank, every moment of doubt. Revenge had not destroyed me, it had rebuilt me. And as I stood before a new generation of students, I finally understood. Justice is not always served in courts or through apologies. Sometimes, justice is a woman who refused to break. The teacher they tried to bury had become the principal they could never forget.